Coming up on the county line, ice jams damming up in the Shannock and Slippery Rock Creeks, also causing major flooding.
A new Wilmington establishment is back and open for business. WCN reporter Shana Marty takes you inside the Tavern.
And love is in the air, even after 60 years of marriage. Reporter Scott Lawrence shows you a love that has stood the test of time. We're live.
We're local.
The county line starts now. Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of the County Line. I'm Jeremiah Patterson.
And I'm Nikki Pizar. Winter and spring collided as strong winds and thunder showers whipped across Lawrence and Mercer counties. Wind speeds as fast as 50 miles per hour blew debris onto the roadways, left trash bins in the street, and knocked down trees last night. Nearly 2,500 people remain in the dark without power.
And ice jams caused the Shannock Creek to overflow its banks, forcing residents to evacuate their homes in Hickory Township. Numerous flood warnings were issued for Lawrence County this week. An ice jam also formed along the Slippery Rock Creek in Scott Township.
A local credit card scam is now using text messaging to get account information. First Choice Credit Union customers in Newcastle have received messages prompting them to visit a fraudulent website that looks similar to the credit unions. The website has since been shut down. First Choice CEO Marilyn Ware says customers should ignore the texts and similar phone calls.
The latest scheme was telling everybody to go to firstchoicefcu.net and enter your card and your expiration date and your PIN number. Our website is firstchoicefcu.com.
The former head of the Newcastle Parking Authority faces theft charges. Police say 33-year-old Gary Stone Jr. stole more than $100,000 from the city's parking meters. Stone lost his job last year when Newcastle was declared financially distressed under Act 47. Last year, Stone said he only collected $71, but when police took over the duty, they collected thousands of dollars and knew something was wrong.
New Wilmington's sewage plant is hoping to receive funding. The Borough Council has applied for a state grant to assist with the plant's renovation. Vice President Ken Romig says the project will total about $6 million. He says the H2O program can provide up to half the funding necessary for water improvement projects.
Sometimes they'll supply up to half of the funding necessary for water improvement projects, and our renovation, if you will, and expansion of the wastewater treatment plant fits the guidelines for the program. So we've applied for approximately a $3 million grant to help fund that project.
The DEP will hold a public meeting next week in Mercer County to discuss Tri-County's landfill application. The company wants to construct a municipal waste landfill in Pine and Liberty Townships of Mercer County. Next Tuesday's meeting is at 7 p.m. at the Grove City High School auditorium. The DEP initially denied the application when it failed a harms-benefits analysis. Tri-County then provided supplemental information which changed the DEP's decision.
Up next on the County Line, chocolate sales skyrocket for Valentine's Day, but how is the yummy treat made? We'll show you the process at Jameson's Candy.
And with the economic downturn, how is Lawrence County's second largest employer faring? WCN reporter Christina Rosetto checks in with Westminster College President Dr. Richard Dorman to see how the campus is doing.
And the Westminster men's and women's swim teams are in Grove City for the President's Athletic Conference Championship. Melissa Maines has all the updates. Stay tuned.
One day these rats were playing in the woods.
Wanted some matches and that's no good.
gorgeous force. It's what you decide. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Fire.
After being out of business for a few years, a historical New Wilmington landmark is back. County Line reporter Shayna Marty tells us about the Tavern's new owners and their opening day.
Looked like a restaurant that just had its grand opening. The Tavern on the Square in New Wilmington opened its doors to customers on Monday. New owners Joe and Susan Hogelman didn't expect a huge turnout, but that's what they were hoping for on their first day.
We did what's called a soft opening here, which means we opened our doors with very little advertising, no advertising as a matter of fact, no signage, nothing. We just wanted to open our doors and have people trickle in slowly. We are all new here. We have a new staff, so we wanted it to be kind of a slow, soft opening so we can work out all the kinks and the snags, iron the snags out.
The Hogelmans purchased the restaurant in November of 2008. While they may be new to the Tavern, they're not new to the business, as they have previously managed the Neshannock Creek Inn restaurant in Volant for 18 years. Now with a new restaurant, they've spent months preparing for their opening by purchasing new furniture, updating kitchen supplies, and of course deciding on a delicious menu that even the employees love.
Excellent. Everything is excellent. I just ate the chicken parm today, and I could eat that every single day. It was great.
Although they're running business in a new atmosphere, Hogelman says customers will find the menu similar to that of the Neshannock Creek Inn.
We kept a lot of the good old-fashioned favorites there, like the giant codfish sandwich. That's what we were known for there. The bacon Swiss chicken salad was very popular. The Reuben deep-fried battered pickles was a popular appetizer. So we kept all that good food from Neshannock Creek Inn. Plus, we added a lot of homemade dinners.
Now that the quiet opening day is out of the way, the Hogelmans are planning an official grand opening gratitude party for next month.
We just want to invite the community of New Wilmington in and know that this restaurant is for them. We just can't wait to just to bring a need in the community and to just fill hearts here and as well as stomachs with good food, but we also want to bless people.
Reporting for the County Line, I'm Shayna Marty.
Charlie's Specialties in Hermitage is recalling 2 products because of possible salmonella-tainted peanuts. Officials say Charlie's All-American Whoopie Pie peanut butter and Chocolate Bobs with peanut butter filling both may contain peanuts produced by the Georgia-based Peanut Corporation of America. The company hasn't reported any illnesses from their products, but says the recall is a precaution.
But those recalls shouldn't stop you from buying Jameson's candy for your sweetheart this weekend.
Jameson's Candy, located in Neshannock, is ready for the season rush. The family-owned shop has been in business for more than 20 years. Owner Joe Jameson takes us behind the scenes to show us how they make the delicious candy.
A lot of different white chocolates.
That started in 1945. An older brother of mine actually opened 2 stores, one for his brother-in-law and one for a friend of the family to have a job when they came back from the service.
Sometimes hard to pack, you know, and get that box and put.
One store was on Croton Avenue on kind of the east, well, both of them were east side of Newcastle. One on Croton Avenue, one on East Washington Street. Started with my brother in '45. I worked for him 2 years before I went into the service. Then when I got out of the service, I went to college. But then I started helping him a little bit. Well, he died very suddenly in 1975, and that's when I took it over. And now it's a family business with my son, my daughter, my son-in-law, my daughter-in-law. At one time, my wife and I, but we're kind of out of the picture now.
All the way back to the second aisle. Every day's different. Jobs are constantly changing, so it's not all repetitive.
We buy candy in 10-pound slabs, and then I have to melt it overnight in a melter. And what we have to do with chocolate is it has to be tempered, so it has to be heated up to 115 degrees, and then a slow process of cooling it back down to 88 degrees. And then for me to make it throughout the day, it has to stay agitated or stirred all the time, and it has to stay at that 88 degrees all day long for as long as I'm going to be using it. And then at the end of the day, I shut the agitator off, I put more chocolate in the melter, I let it melt overnight again, and we start the whole process again the next morning.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I was going to say, can you reach it?
Yes. Hand dip all of our chocolate-covered nuts and creams. We do hundreds of molded items. I do different types of barks, raisins, coconut. You know, we cover pretzels, potato chips, and Oreo cookies, and that sort of thing. So we do tons of different types of pieces and figures and stuff like that.
Easter probably is the busiest, then Christmas and Valentine's Day. Christmas and Easter stretch over a longer period of time. Valentine's Day is kind of a last minute 1 or 2 day time. It's a pleasant business, and it's just fun, and I like to eat chocolate.
United Way of Lawrence County is still accepting donations to reach its annual goal. 85% of the $500,000 goal has been collected. A recent campaign luncheon was held where volunteers reported on these contributions. To donate, call 724-658-8528 or visit their website.
Cold and flu season is back in full swing, not only in our community, but around the country. The County Line's Aaron Wall shows us that staying healthy isn't as complicated as it may seem.
What do you think is the best way to stay healthy during cold and flu season?
Lots of drugs. I'm kind of a hippie, so I believe in that vitamin C thing.
I just say don't stay out in the cold too long, especially in temperatures below 0.
These solutions may work for some. However, Westminster College nurse Judith Duda shares with us a simpler method.
Well, obviously the number one way is to wash your hands. There are other ways, but the big one is hand washing.
Hand washing. Something so simple, yet so many aren't aware of how often or how exactly to wash their hands.
Well, it's really when you need to, after you use the restroom, before you eat, before you prepare food, anytime you handle anything that's dirty, you need to wash your hands. The proper way is to take enough time to do it. Some sources say 10 seconds and some say 20 to 25. A lot of what is effective is the friction of you rubbing your hands. So the longer you do that, probably the more effective it is.
Duda also says that hand sanitizers are a reasonable alternative to hand washing, although not as effective as soap and water. I'm Erin Wall for the County Line.
Coming up, Westminster College President Dr. Richard Dorman talks about how the college is faring during these rough economic times.
And true love lasts a lifetime, or at least 60 years. In the spirit of Valentine's Day, we'll show you one couple that doesn't need Valentine's to keep their love strong.
Stay tuned.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
Everybody wants a part of the economic stimulus package that Congress is about to pass, including Westminster.
College President Richard Dorman recently returned from Washington, D.C., where he lobbied U.S. Senator Arlen Specter for additional financial aid for college students.
The County Line's Christina Rosetto sits down with President Richard Dorman to discuss the college's financial situation.
This edition of the County Close-Up, I have the pleasure of being here with College President Dr. Richard Dorman. Dr. Dorman, thank you for being with us this evening.
My pleasure.
We're here talking about weathering the economic crisis as an academic institution here at Westminster College. First of all, President Dorman, I'd like to ask you, how is a technically nonprofit institution such as Westminster College overall affected by this current economic recession that we're experiencing?
Yeah, well, it depends upon the type of nonprofit institution that you're referring to. For Westminster, we're affected in two ways. Number one is our endowment. When I first arrived at Westminster, our endowment was $102 million, and because of the drop in the market, we're down around $70 million now, so that's had a huge impact, I think, on the ability of the college then to draw from its endowment to help pay for operations. Fortunately, that's over a multiple-year period, so that's not going to be so much of a problem for us this year, but it will become more of a problem in years to come. The second area, of course, is in the affordability of college for students in the future, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that we try to keep Westminster as affordable as possible.
You just touched on endowment. There's also annual gift giving from alumni. How has that been affected in terms of personal monetary gifts from various alumni?
Yeah, Westminster is down around 16% right now, and that's very consistent with what's happening nationwide. As people are finding out that their assets have diminished considerably, they're giving a lot of thought as to how they're going to spend their limited discretionary dollars philanthropically. And so a lot of people are holding back right now, and it's going to be a problem for nonprofits going forward.
Right. Now, how do, I know the endowment is based on, how the economy fluctuates and everything. The annual gifts, though, how does a 16% drop directly affect the college with that money that is, no longer going to be going towards the various parts of the institution?
Yeah, well, part of that 16% drop comes in the fact that a number of capital projects had occurred in previous years, and people were paying off their pledges. Many of those pledges are now being paid off, so you're seeing a drop there. But you're also seeing a drop in discretionary dollars for the annual fund, which is given for college scholarships.
Right.
And that's going to be very, very important for us. We rely on our benefactors to help us out on the Westminster Fund in order to provide those additional dollars that are going to help put our young people through school.
You just mentioned projects and everything like that, different developments across campuses. It's hard to look in the paper and not see that colleges are trying to weather this economic crisis, but some are being forced to put projects in various technological advances or any other kind of advances on their campuses into effect because of the crisis. Do you foresee any setbacks on current projects or projects that may be developing or any advancements on the campus that may be put on a delay, so to speak?
Yeah, I think we're going to be having to take a hard look at our immediate projects. There were a number that we had planned on beginning in the fairly near future. We're going to be holding on those temporarily until we see where all this sorts out. Most colleges and universities nationwide have put holds on a lot of their capital projects that they're doing unless they're already into one. In those cases, some of them are having a hard time doing those projects because they're not able to fulfill the funding for those projects. So in some ways, Westminster's in a very good spot right now because we had finished up a number of capital projects prior to the downturn in the economy, and we're in a transition year anyway. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get back into our capital projects when we start to see a reversal of this economic downturn.
Touching back on the endowment for just a second, do you feel that smaller schools such as Westminster and other liberal arts schools around this area suffer more than larger schools because of their increased endowments, or is everybody really in kind of like a suffering mode right now because of the recession?
Yeah, well, every college and university nationwide is affected by this, some more than others. The schools that are affected most in today's economic environment are the ones who are highly leveraged. They have a lot of debt, much of that debt being variable debt.
How does the college stand overall?
Yeah, financially we're in very good shape. Prudent fiscal decision-making occurred in previous years. We are showing still, I think, positive signs in terms of our enrollment for next year and certainly this year as well. So we're standing in fairly good shape, but I have to caution that the nature of the economy itself could change that very, very quickly, and that's what we're having to be very, very sensitive about.
Right. We've been here at the County Close-Up with Dr. Richard Dorman. Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
morning and welcome to this week's edition of Titantown Sports. I'm Melissa Maines. Beginning with Titan basketball, the women's team snapped a game-losing streak Wednesday to give coach Roseanne Scott her 100th win with a 4-point W over Chatham. They hope to continue that streak as they travel to Teal on Saturday. The men's team is also coming off of a big win and vying for another win as they take on the Tomcats Saturday following the women's game. Helping with that win was junior forward Ryan Murray, who is this week's SAC Athlete of the Week. Murray averaged team best totals of nearly 15 points, almost 10 rebounds, just over 3 steals, and 2 blocks per game. Just last week, he became the 34th player in school history to score 1,000 career points. Congratulations. The women's track and field team is also looking for another successful season after earning a PAC title last year. On the other hand, the men's team is working hard to improve from last season and finish on top. The County Lines reporter Michelle Bystrzyka shows us how past coaches at Westminster have influenced second-year head coach Tim McNeil to become the motivational voice for the Titans.
An afternoon away from the snow and inside the warmth of Old 77 prepares the Titans for their upcoming season. What's on the schedule for today? A little running, a little jumping, and some giant rubber bands. It may look like hard work, but it wasn't too long ago that head coach Tim McNeil wore the shoes his athletes are in today. McNeil, a 1996 Westminster football and track alum, is starting his second year coaching the Titans in a sport in which he considers himself a late bloomer.
And it wasn't until my junior year in high school that the track coach at my high school talked me into coming out for track, and it was basketball season, and I thought, oh, I'll give this a shot. I'll kind of like appease this guy, show up for a practice, and that'll be it.
McNeil stuck with it and earned 3 trips to the NAIA National Championship meet during his time as a Titan. However, his achievements in the 400 hurdles aren't the Westminster memories he cherishes the most.
Probably my lasting memories from track was working with Coach Daffler. We went on a lot of trips together and just learning from some of his life experiences, more life than actually track.
He explains former football mentor Coach Nicholson contributed to his current coaching philosophy.
I really believe that athletics are teaching. It wasn't all rah-rah, bang your head up against the wall. It was smart football. I brought that same type of idea as I started coaching. When I get my track ready, it's like I'm putting together my lesson plans. I know what I'm doing. We have a warm-up. We start with this, and then we build into the thing that we want them to learn, and whether it's memory here or muscle memory, those are the things we try to do, and then we kind of finish off with sort of like homework that they have to do on their own.
McNeil and the Titans will get to test that lesson plan in the upcoming indoor season. Reporting for the County Line, I'm Michelle Bystrzyka.
And tonight is day 1 for the men's and women's swim team as they are competing this weekend for the PAC title in Grove City. County Line reporter Brett Gerthofer has more on the team and their championship hopes.
At the Westminster College Natatorium, the Titans swim team stretch and warm up for their last dual meet of the season. On February 12th, they will compete in the President's Athletic Conference Championships.
I think this is going to be our best championship meet that we've ever had. The team is peaking right at the right time. All of our training since our first day of practice, which was back in September, is really paying off now.
In lane 3 for St. Vincent, Jess Kennedy. In lane 4 for Westminster, number 6, Megan Meyer.
Of all the teams that I've been on in my life, this is one of the closest as a group, the closest knit. I mean, it's like a family. And you can see that when we get to meets, like, no one has a swim that there's not people up cheering.
When we go on a training trip, we peak our yardage, most yardage that we'll ever do. And as we taper, we back off the yardage and add some intensity.
I think that all the work that we put in has been paying off. We've been getting faster as the years been going on. After training trip, we've just been getting faster and faster.
Senior Connor Simpson shows his hard work as he leads the race in this butterfly event. In another butterfly event, senior Cody Robeson takes a first place.
The team's been doing really well this season. I'm very, very pleased with our performances up to this point. Working very, very hard, training hard in practices. The swim meets have been going very, very well. So up to this point, I'm very, very pleased.
The Titans stand on the sideline and cheer as the Titan swimmers prove that their hard training will soon pay off at the PAC championships.
We're really looking forward to tapering down our last bit of training this week, and looking forward to swimming really, really fast next weekend at the PAC championships.
Westminster hopes to lead as many events at PACs as they have at their dual meets. Reporting for the County Line, I'm Brett Gerthofer.
And now onto the extra inning portion of the show. The Penguins won over the San Jose Sharks Wednesday 2-1, but they will travel on Valentine's Day to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more County Line.
Can I help you, sir?
I found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
Remember, if there's ever an emergency, we meet here at the bottom of the driveway.
And I'll get the emergency disaster kit out of the kitchen.
Once we're all together, then we'll decide what to do.
But what about Fido?
What about Fido? The Lawrence County Humane Society reminds you to include your pets in your disaster planning. Make sure that your pets have identification tags that include your phone number. To find out more about how to protect your pets in a disaster, contact the Lawrence County Humane Society.
Saturday is Valentine's Day, a day to celebrate relationships, and one of New Wilmington's oldest couples recently surpassed their 60th anniversary mark. Joseph and Lois Hopkins married in 1948. The County Line Scott Lawrence shares their love story.
Well, I can answer that question in a classroom at the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York, having just arrived, and a beautiful young woman walked into the room and sat down in the seat behind me. And that was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And it wasn't long before we were dating. It wasn't long after that before we were married. I would say it was only the grace and mercy of the Lord that that the marriage survived, that she was able to put up with me all those 60 years.
Listen to him. It's commitment. You know, you make a commitment, you keep it. And that's primarily how it is. They say that marriage is a 50-50 proposition. I think it's more like 100-100, and because you give both ways. It's not divided equally at all, ever. Mm-hmm. I think if you don't get up every morning and say a prayer of thanks to God for what you have, for your family, for your home, you know, for the people that you're with, for the caring community in a place such as this. And I just think, what more can you ask for?
Thanks for joining us for our Valentine's Day episode.
Be sure to check us out on the web at WCN247.com. Good night.
Good night.
I don't know about you, but when I have friends